What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I'm posting from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all those social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out at WiseTake.com. Day passes are available. That being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. You've come to the right place with some free fire DFS content. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. Currently covering MLB slates Monday through Friday, meaning we stream Sunday night through Thursday night with our first look, making this the last show of the week. And I have to start it off by giving a major shout out to the GOAT, the true OG, known to many as Paulie D, who you can find on Twitter at Paulie with 8 D's. Paulie won himself the donkey. He did it. He won the donkey. He also won, I think he was in like the 333 on DraftKings. He won 15 grand in one contest, 20 grand in the donkey. Didn't even MME it. Hand-built city. Amazing. You put in that work, man. Paulie is a former FanDuel MLB qualifier, finals qualifier. Right, he's done that. Obviously, we've won money over the years since we've been doing WiseTake, but this was a big one, man. I think he risked like $400 too, which for him is like just kind of like playing light to a degree. Not always. Depends on how good times are. Obviously, there's a lot of swings in this thing. But shout out to Paulie D, man. Well deserved, man. Paulie works hard. He's been grinding it out for the nation for a long time. For anyone who doesn't know, Paulie does our dirt sheet. Used to do a lot of the shows with me. And probably we'll be kicking that back up at some point when we go back to doing more of those. When things settle down, if you will, at least in my life. But shout out to Paulie, man. Turning like 400 and change into, I think it was like 35 G's. So that was glorious. Make sure that you're subscribed to WiseTake.com. Don't miss out on his dirt sheet. Get in the Slack, pick his brain a little bit, talk to him. It was a good day. It was the early slate on DraftKings. Everyone's wondering. Shout out to Pat Bush and Leonard. Good to see you guys in there. Discussing the slates, discussing DFS, we're working on perfecting your craft. I've been real appreciative of what I'm seeing in our Slack chat. A combination of our new guys and our more seasoned members who are exchanging tips, and even if it's just a quick resource and all that kind of stuff, man, that shit really helps. So let's continue to keep that rolling. Let's take this momentum and keep it building. If you aren't following Paulie on Twitter, give him a follow at Paulie with 8 D's. That's Paulie DD. Seriously, I'm not kidding. That's his Twitter. So make sure you go over there and follow him, man, and give him a shout. I give him a congrats, man. It was well deserved, well earned. Okay. That being said, we've got a 14-game slate to get to. So it is about time we get up in there. Starting with top pitchers, as we always do. Few guys, just a few. Max Scherzer is the best pitcher on this slate, but he faces one of the best offenses in the league in the Los Angeles Dodgers. This game is in Washington. Dodgers currently second at WRC plus against righties, only have a 22.1% K rate, 177 ISO, 338 WOBA. They're a good team. But Mad Max is Mad Max. The thing is, like, there's going to be a couple Dodgers that hit home runs off him, right? It's just a matter of how many strikeouts does he get, in addition to that. This is what he does. Yeah, Leonard DeGrom did have a very interesting game. Lance Lynn. I think Lance Lynn will take some ownership away from Scherzer. I'm sure there'll be some people who try to get greedy and play them both, but together. But Lance Lynn, while his numbers aren't quite as dominant as Scherzer, they're still pretty good, and he's playing Detroit, who is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. Not literally opposite, but a 26.3% K rate, 157 ISO, 307 with 92 WRC plus. So yeah, kind of like that. Pablo Lopez he's not always had the best of luck against the Braves. Like, I think Acuna owns this dude. But his numbers are still really strong. As good as Atlanta has been, we know they have a 25% K rate against righties. They do have a 189 ISO, to be fair. But I think Pablo's at least in a tournament conversation. Alex Wood, numbers are decent playing Arizona. Arizona is better against lefties. Right, look at a 102 WRC plus. Arizona has a 102 WRC plus against lefties. 21% K rate, 172 ISO. But they're kind of banged up. They're missing Ketel Marte, who's their best player overall. They missed him for a while. They came back, missing him again. So when you look at Wood's numbers, you have to at least make that decision consciously. Right? You gotta be conscious. Make a conscious decision. Taijuan Walker. Having a very impressive season. He's coming off a game where he left early from injury or some shit. Very impressive season. The Mets are playing the Yankees. This is in Yankee Stadium, not in the Great Park. Yankees have been kind of turning it on lately. They got rained out on Thursday, but they've been turning it up. They've been turning it up a notch. Their WRC plus is currently at 100, so they're at average. They're at league average. But I think Walker's at least in consideration because of how well he's played. And the Yankees 25% K rate. That's legit. Alek Manoah. A little shaky. This game's in Buffalo. Very hitter friendly. 48% fly ball rate's a little bit scary. He got done serving his 5-game suspension for throwing at Maikel Franco, I think it was. So either his teammates think he's really fucking stupid, or they respect him for doing what he felt like he had to do for the team. Needless to say, he's playing Tampa Bay, so it don't get much more hot and cold than this. Tampa Bay, a good offense, potent offense, a massive park boost for them, but they also have a 26.2% K rate, so you could have just as easily thrown him in the what to watch segment there, but definitely something to keep an eye on for sure with Manoah, because he's supposed to have some really good strikeout shit, and the strikeout rate is increasing. Griffin Canning against Baltimore. Griffin Canning was supposed to play the Yankees, caught himself a break. Game got postponed. Instead, he'll play Baltimore at home. 7,600. That's why he's here, because he's cheap on DraftKings. Are his numbers good? Not really. But he is playing Baltimore, who we know is one of the worst teams in the league against righties. 84 WRC plus, 292, over 152 ISO, and a 24.8% K rate. So as far as cheap options go, we got to keep him in the mix. Speaking of cheap options, Erod. He's pitching better. I mean, really, his numbers at XFIP and Sierra tell you he's pitching well. BABIP 374, ERA being that, over what 2.5 points higher than his XFIP. Tells you he's been a little unlucky. We've seen things kind of roll his way, but we've seen him poised in positioning to have some good games, and then a couple things just don't go his way. He gets a massive park boost out here in Oakland. One of the best pitching parks in the game, and not only because it's huge, but also because the foul territory is big. So it allows the counts to stay alive more. I'm sorry, it allows the field a little bit more time to maybe even catch some of those balls that on a normal park would be out of play. Erod 7,400. Oakland is no slouch though. Only a 23.3% K rate. It's not massive. A 161 ISO. 168 ISO. 315 WOBA, 103 WRC plus. It's nothing crazy, but you can't, compared to the league, they're not that bad. Last but not least, J.D. Brubaker. He's had a couple big games. He's 7K. He's playing the Brewers. Brewers are hot right now. They're not really a team you want to fuck with right now. But on the season, they do have an 86 WRC plus, a 297 WOBA, 153 ISO, and a 25.6% K rate against righties. And not for nothing, but Brubaker has gotten his XFIP and Sierra under 4. K rate 23% is enough against a team that strikes out a lot, and he's home in a pitcher-friendly park. So it's a big list. Not gonna lie, it's a big list. Top offenses. It's a 14-game slate. What'd you expect? It's gonna be a big list here too. We'll start with Coors. Johan Oviedo is awful, and now he's going into Coors. The Rockies are also awful, but Johan Oviedo is awful, and the Cardinals bullpen is awful. These are two teams that are starting terrible pitchers and also have terrible bullpens. Listen, on a 14-game slate, you hate to go and play the chalk, especially on offense, right? But I mean, this game is poised to be high scoring. It's two bad offenses in the best hitting park in the game with two terrible pitchers and two terrible bullpens. That's the Cardinals and the Rockies. Gauge the ownership as usual. I would anticipate them being popular. And if that's the case, as good as it looks, it's just a massive slate. If we feel like they're not getting his own as much as they should because there are so many options pulling people away, that's when we can kind of, delve in tournaments. But in cash games, man, just stack this shit the fuck up. Astros, now we get away from cores. The Astros going up against Sam Hentages. Sam's been a little unlucky, but doesn't look like he's been very good either. We know Houston is the top WRC, first place in WRC plus to both lefties and righties. Only an 18% K rate. They did pretty well on the Thursday slate. Expect them to get some love. The Reds are going up against Alec Mills. The Reds have kind of screwed me. Long and Horde. But Alec Mills has been downright terrible. And they're at home in Cincinnati, one of the best hitting parks in the game. Cincinnati is fourth in WRC plus against righties at 110 with a 336 WOBA, a 179 ISO, and a 22.5% K rate. That's right. The Royals against J.A. Happ. Happ has some of the worst numbers you'll see on a slate. I mean, he's right up there with Chi. He's right up there with Vito in terms of like horrific numbers. 48% fly ball right now. He is in a very big park, pitcher-friendly park, against a Kansas City team that's just not great. But J.A. Happ is terrible. He's terrible. And the Royals are going to put the ball in play. 21.4% K rate. They're going to put the ball in play. So yeah, I think the Royals kind of interesting. On the flip side of that, Brady Singer's hasn't been so great, and he's playing the Twins in the same park, obviously, so it's nothing special. But one thing about the Twins, they got power. 187 ISO. They got pop on the bats. So again, there's a lot we have to break through. I'll try to narrow this down a little bit in the article. But we got a lot to get to. It's a massive slate. And that's how it is on massive slates. The good thing is ownership, you don't usually have to get too hung up on. You can get a little more spread out on these bigger slates because the ownership is naturally going to be spread out. There's just more options. Things to watch. Sonny Gray's making his return from the IL. If he's not on a pitch count, I'm definitely interested. But it's hard to I would think he's on a pitch count. He hasn't pitched since the beginning of June. Had a groin injury. He's made one rehab start, and he only went like 3 innings. And he's working on 5 days rest. So I would anticipate a pitch count. That's why I didn't include him in the top pitchers. But keep an eye on him. Logan Gilbert, 4.18 xFIP's not great. 3.74 Sierra, a little bit better. 26.2% K rate, kind of interesting. They're at home against the Rangers. The Rangers are the team who helped Paulie take shit down. So no disrespect to the Rangers. But obviously that they're not a great offense, right? Don't get me wrong, Logan Gilbert is nothing special. I'm not trying to toot his horn, but a 25% K rate, cheap pitcher, and if not, then Texas could be really low owned. If you want to go that route, something else to keep on your mind. And then Julio Urias, whatever. Good numbers, everything looks good. Playing a Washington team that's been hot. They haven't hit for power against lefties, but they do have a 106 WRC plus. Now I do think that some of these guys are banged up. I think like Trey Turner's a little bit banged up right now. And I think his backup, Jordy Mercer, who's not good, but is also banged up. So keep an eye on their lineup because things can go the other way. You can end up on the farm. If they're healthy, I kind of like the Nats, right? But if they're banged up, they're missing a lot of players or they're missing key players or they put out a watered-down lineup, you can get Urias really low owned. So just something to keep an eye on. But we got plenty of pitching. We got plenty of offenses, so you don't got to get all hung up on it like a bitch. Dong watching right here. Sal Perez against J.A. Happ, number 1. Jesse Winker of the Reds, number 2. And then Max Kepler. I'm going Max. I don't even know if Max Kepler is going to play. I feel like he hasn't played that much this year, but I'm going Max Kepler anyway. Because if he does play, He's like 3 for 8 off of Singer already. So I think he dongs if he plays. Anyway, Nation, that's going to do it for this edition of the MLB Wise Stream. I'm going to do it for this week. This week's editions of the MLB Wise Stream. We'll be back Sunday night covering Monday slate. We still cover MLB. I still write my core plays article at WiseTake.com on Saturdays. Our projections, cheat sheets, Paulie's Dirt Sheet also on Saturdays ago. Sundays we have projections and cheat sheets, and that's it. But other than that, go hang out with us. Come check us out. Come join the nation. Get in the Slack chat. Slack chat is for monthly members or higher. Otherwise, man, leave some comments. Hit the like button. Do that dirty. If you're not ready to join up over there, it's all good, man. Stay with the nation from here. Hit the like button, show your support, leave some comments, and share the show as much as you can, because that shit helps us out. And the more it helps us out, the more we can grow, the more we'll put back into the products. All right. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, have a great motherfucking weekend. And as always, good luck.